Oh my God, Brittany!
Well, you were thinking it.
Yeah, well, you said it.
And one, and two, and a ching chong potato. Welcome back!
Oh, look, you finally remembered to welcome them back.
Don't be a jerk about it.
I feel like the chair spin is at the end.
I feel like you're really setting the tone for this video.
I am.
You're a jerk.
Anyways, I'm Jonna.
I'm Ethan. Welcome back, for real. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to react to a video.
Allegations that turned William Conboy's life upside down. A respected young Albany attorney who all of a sudden was facing charges filed by his own wife, Kelly, that he was beating her right here inside the couple's house.
Everybody who knew him knew this wasn't, true, but what? No one else did, because you pick up the paper. He's on the front of the local section. He's a batterer. It's this. It's horrible. He went through hell.
As a young prosecutor, William Conboy knew he had been placed in a very tough position of being forced to prove a negative. In other words, he had to prove that something did not happen. But that's when he took out his cell phone and called his wife.
I want you to know what's going to happen.
Okay.
If you are not out tonight with all of your I will call the Albany Police Department and say that you beat me and get an order of protection next week against you.
Are you going to make something up that I hit you?
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Why would you do that, Kel?
Why would I do that? To get you the out of the house. That's why.
As it turns out, the tape recordings were more than enough for Bill Conboy to be cleared of all charges.
Kelly, the little sister of Karen.
Oh
my God. So, first of all, you gotta be like 10 sheets of stupid to think you're gonna get away with that being married to a prosecuting attorney. Like,
or any attorney.
Yeah, agreed. But like, he is a freaking prosecutor. His entire job is to collect evidence most attorneys' jobs are, but some less than others. He is a prosecutor. His whole job is based off of building a case with evidence, not circumstantial evidence, but evidence that can win him the case. How do you think that this is going to work out for you? This is why people don't believe victims, because stupid ass bitches like that.
Yeah, and that's a crying shame, because there's a lot of victims out there.
Right.
Who bad shit has happened to. And now something goes down, and a lot of people's first train of thought is that bitch is lying.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not saying that your initial reaction should be to believe them. It should be neutral.
Right.
This person is saying this. All right, let's find out what's going on. Not, oh, he definitely or she definitely did it, or oh, it's bullshit. But let's look at the evidence. But what kind of blew me away about the video was the announcer guy, who was
narrator.
The news broadcaster or whatever. I did not. And granted, he could have just been misspeaking or whatever, but he said something along the lines of he was put in a tough position because now he had to prove a negative. He had to prove that he didn't beat his wife or whatever.
He did have to prove that.
But that's the thing. No. Like, you...
Yes, he did, because here's the thing. He knows how the court system works. He knew that the courts, most of the time, favor women. He knew that without that evidence...
Right.
And it probably just made everything way easier, and I don't know how this ended, but more than likely...
All the charges were dropped, were you not?
Oh, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to assume that, he then filed for divorce from her, and then he got everything because she did all of this.
Well, what I mean by what I was saying about him having to prove a negative, like, I see what you're saying, that in court the cards are stacked against you or whatever, but like, according to our laws in America, you are innocent until proven guilty. And like, he shouldn't have to prove that he didn't hit her. She should have to prove that he did. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, okay, like I agree with that, but you know, that's like living in a fantasy world, because that might be what it says on paper, but that's just not the world that we actually live in. Think about any case,
well,
you know?
I mean,
any major case out there, like the biggest one that's like recent was the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. You know what I mean? Like he was well, I mean, that one was really like half and half. Like everybody thought he was guilty, and everybody thought half of them thought he was guilty, half of them thought he was not guilty. But like they really had to prove that whole time. It just seemed like that prosecuting attorney, the DA, was really trying to drive it home.
But that's not the same. That's apples and oranges.
Because
there wasn't allegations.
True.
That's
okay.
that's a whole different thing. Here's one. Bill Cosby.
I was just gonna say
got his conviction overturned because they're like, hey, you're not just guilty because people said that you did this.
Right.
And I'm not saying that he didn't. He probably did. But
and this is where, and I'm gonna get.
Hold on. Because here's the thing: all you have and all I have, all anyone has, is conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know, nor do I. No one knows except for Cosby and said ladies, right? But the point is, you can't convict someone of something because a bunch of people said he did it.
So
you have to have actual evidence.
I agree. The same goes with Harvey Weinstein. Is he a total creep? From what I've gathered, yes. But, however, and I'm going to get so much hate for this. Oh my God, I can just already see it. But this is how I feel. This is truly how I feel. You don't get to do what you did with him, and then years later, after you've already gotten your success and fame, be like, yeah, he's a super creep who made me sleep with him so that I could be in this movie or whatever. Like, you had a choice. You know what I mean? Should he have put you in that position? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
When I am not at all advocating for that kind of nonsense. But you wanted it so bad that you were willing to put yourself in that situation to get it. And that sucks that you even like that, you know. But I think what really sucks is that, like, that's just how Hollywood works. And you are naive if you truly believe that that's still not going, just because they put Harvey Weinstein away. If you truly believe that that stuff is still not happening, you're turning a blind eye.
You're probably right, but I would dare say it's probably happening less.
Maybe. I mean, so I don't think it is, because here's the thing. Just like with Harvey Weinstein, that happened, all those cases happened so long ago. And then they all came out at the same time because, like, one girl started and then another girl was like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. Oh yeah, and it was gaining momentum and traction. If the people that it's still happening to right now are people who are no names, who are still trying to get their foot in the door. So they're going to probably stay quiet until they build a name for themselves and they don't have to worry about that reprisal anymore or being blacklisted or anything. You know what I mean? Once they have the power, then they can go and turn.
Maybe. I don't know. On one hand, I think that a lot of the women who came forward later on came forward because they felt solidarity with other women. They didn't feel so isolated anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, like, it was Hollywood's least, how do you put it? Hollywood's worst kept secret, right?
Right, yeah, because there's
Clocks.
there's a video of Courtney Love from like 1994, and she's like, if Harvey Weinstein ever invites you to his hotel room, don't go. Yeah, like, and that's another point. Like, everybody knew about it, and yet somehow he kept, and then all of a sudden, 20 some odd years later, if not longer.
Well, no, I think he was still at it.
What do you mean? No, I'm saying it wasn't, people didn't start coming out about it until way, way, way later. And I'm like...
Right. Again, I think that there's a level of solidarity that people feel when they know that they're not alone. Right?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think that, like with anything, it's a bell curve. There's a point of diminishing returns, right? So let's say that something happens to me, and I am embarrassed and ashamed and scared about my career.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't say anything to anyone, right? So the curve is nil, right? Nothing's happening. But then one person pops up and says, "This person did this to me." And I see that on the news and I'm like, oh my God, that happened to me too, right? Well, other people are also seeing it on the news. So then maybe a couple other people start talking about it, and a couple other people. And then I'm thinking to myself, this happened to me too with that same person. I want to talk about it too. So then I add on. And so it goes up and up and up and up, right? In terms of the number of people who are coming out and saying this is the thing that happened. However, I think at some point, and I don't know what point that is, right? People who have known this shady character or have been in a room alone with this shady character, that nothing happened between them. I feel like at some point, there may be a point where people who are not negatively affected by this terrible person are going to be like, well, I want a part of the action. I want to be involved. And so then they start trickling in as well. And that's where shit starts to go bad. Because now you got people who...
Yes, but then you have people like Kelly from this video who they want their 15 minutes of fame. And I'm not saying Kelly wanted that, but I am saying that stuff like Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After the people who really have been affected tell their story, then at some point other people, that's the other side of the bell curve, is the bullshit, right? People say like, that happened to me too, this happened to me three, etc., and it poisons the pool of actual victims, because all it takes is one person for it to come out that nothing bad actually did happen to them, and now all the rest of those women look like, oh, y'all are just some liars.
Right.
If she lied, the rest of you lied too, which is crazy. But on the other,
very unlikely. But...
And on the flip side of that too, though, right? There are as many people that believe, well, there's definitive proof that it happened to this one girl or woman, etc. So that means all the other women are telling the truth. Both of those things are equally, not necessarily unlikely, but equally flawed judgment and flawed logic. Just because it happened to one person does not mean it happened to 96. And just because it happened to 95 people doesn't mean that it happened to the 96.
So then to bring it full circle back to the original video. You're welcome. To bring it back to Kelly and Steve, is that right?
Sure.
Let's make them
Steven.
You said, he had to prove that he didn't do it, but he shouldn't have had to prove that. Well, in every single case, no matter if you have every single one of these girls, like it was like the what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
They had to prove that each of those girls, you know what I mean? Because you can't just take one's word for it, even though that's how it goes. And that's just what I mean. Like, you do have to prove. You always have to prove one way or the other, whether, he did beat her or he didn't beat her. And I think...
You have to prove the affirmative. You have to prove the affirmative. You can't... There's a reason that in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. For instance, prove to me that you... Well, this is hard because I know you. We live together. It's kind of a whole thing. But let's say I didn't live in this house. And I said, prove to me that you don't wear polka dot pajamas to bed every night. How do you do that? How do you prove that negative?
Right.
You can't. You can't. You can say, well, I don't own them. I'd say, you got rid of them. Right. Now, if you said to me, I wear polka dot pajamas to bed every night, and I said, prove it, you could totally do that. Every night before you got to bed, or before you got under the covers, you can go, click, and send me a picture of you in polka dot pajamas. You have to prove the affirmative. If you say, this thing happened, and that's the person who did it, if you're trying to get a conviction of someone who did something,
right,
they have to prove that they did it, not that he doesn't have to prove that he didn't.
But it always just, to me, because of who I am as a person, I guess, I like to go straight for the head, I guess, like, it's like metaphorically speaking, like I don't like to cover middle ground. I like to go straight to the top. So for me, I would have done exactly what he did. Let's solve this right now.
Oh, word.
Didn't do it.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I don't believe the tactics.
Because yes, our system says that you're innocent until proven guilty, but our justice system is also flawed as like.
Agreed. I totally agree with that.
I mean, it's ridiculous, you know, and so.
This is what I want to know, right? So that conversation that they had that he was recording was over the phone.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe I'm just like a paranoid person, but like, how did you not think
right like
that he wasn't gonna try to get you? You dummy. What's
the only thing I can think is some complete narcissism. You truly believe you are smarter than the other party.
Right, but also, friend, I mean, yes, narcissism partly plays into this for sure, but also, that's just sheer stupidity. Like,
it is.
I'm not trying to talk on the phone about anything.
But a lot of narcissistic people, their brain is so wired to believe that they are superior that they kind of leave that kind of stuff out. Like that stupidity clause kind of fails them because they're like, no, I'm too smart. I can't be outdone. I mean, Chris Watts tried to do that crap when he murdered his
entire family?
Yeah. And he tried to go speak with the police because he was so narcissistic that he thought he had done such a good job at getting away with what he did that he wasn't going to get caught.
Even though they were on to him from Jump Street.
From Jump Street. But that's how narcissism works. It invades your mind so that you can't think, that you don't even have the capability to think that somebody could be smarter than you. And I just think that this one, I mean, obviously that's speculation. I don't know if she's a narcissist or not. I'm sure that it helped her.
Well, you can not be a narcissist and still act narcissistic.
Yeah, I agree. But
you know what I mean?
I think she's married to a prosecutor. She's heard a lot of stories where women get away with.
For sure.
You know.
I'll tell you what, like.
But I feel like, too, she's also married to a prosecutor. Her husband's whole job is collecting evidence. Well, how do you think...
His whole job is putting evidence in order. Cops collect evidence.
Correct, but they'll be like, hey, all right, how can we prove this? Did the cops get this? We need that. You know what I mean? So it's a by proxy of collecting evidence.
I just feel like if... This is going to be messed up, and people might yell at me. That's fine. Do you know what's an easy way to get your ass beat? Lie about somebody beating your ass. Because, I'll tell you what. Go ahead and lie on me to some cops about me putting my... That
just makes it so much harder on you, though. You know what I mean? I think he, honestly, he stayed...
If I know I'm about to do some serious time for beating you up...
But he wasn't. He knew exactly what he needed to do.
Right, and he did it. But what I'm saying is... let's say that he called her up, tried to, jam her up the way he did, and she was on to him. I would have been on to him. I'd been like, I don't know what you're talking about. You hit me for real. But if she got the drop on him and was like, oh, he's trying to set me up, yada, 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 and she didn't give up the ghost in that phone call, right? And now he's screwed. Now he's about to have everything taken from him. He might do some jail time, etc., etc. I'm just saying the odds of him going to the house with a bat has increased tenfold. If you're not a domestic abuser and the person you're with accuses you with malice of being a domestic abuser, that's, my blood was boiling just watching it. He was the winner, and I still was mad. You know what I mean?
Well, of course, because but like when people get essayed.
Oh.
Can't say it on YouTube. Will us. So, but
It just sound like they'd assassinate us. YouTube. YouTube hit squad.
I honestly
lurking
wouldn't
around
be
every
surprised
corner.
if like Google and YouTube and all of them had one of those. Facebook. It's all headed up by Mark Zuckerberg. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
I'm the best. You love
Damn
me so
it.
much. You're so
Well,
happy I'm
anything I was gonna say that I'm so paranoid that when I talk shit about someone, I always have to like check my phone to make sure I didn't like randomly dial them, even though my phone was like 10 feet away from me before I even started the conversation.
Not me. You can get this smoke whenever. I don't care if I butt dial you.
No, that's just like, you know, if you don't go creating problems if you can help it. You know what I mean? I still, you know, and you've heard in our other videos, like, I don't talk shit about people who, I don't say anything behind someone's back. I'm not willing to say to their face, but also there is a time and a place for shit talking, you know. So you're not always intentionally trying to hurt somebody's feelings, but you're also trying to vent sometimes. So I think that's perfectly acceptable. But anyways, yeah, F that bitch.
Have any of you ever been wrong?
We're cool.
Not necessarily wrongfully convicted. Definitely tell us if you've been wrongfully convicted. I want to know about that. But wrongfully accused of something that you haven't done. It doesn't necessarily have to be domestic abuse, but something crazy. Because it's happened to me before, and not domestic abuse. I do that for real. Just kidding. It's not cool. But I have been.
It's not even a funny joke. I can see that comment section. I can see it in the comments already happening. People are sensitive. Stop.
I have been wrongly accused of things before, and it's a very helpless feeling.
It is super helpless.
Especially the worst thing it is that you're being accused of, the more helpless and isolated you feel, because people,
even more so if you don't have money to hire a lawyer. Could you imagine?
Oh, right. I'm not, the stuff that I'm talking about was not like breaking the law stuff. It's just like,
well, I'm
he
just saying,
did
like,
this.
yeah.
Stuff.
The more you up the stakes of that, the more isolated and helpless you feel.
And the less likely people are to believe you, because they don't want to fall on the wrong side of history when everything's all, when smoke clears. If you did do that thing, they don't want to be seen as the person who, you know, helped the fill in the blank.
Yeah. And it's so funny to me, like, I swear this is one lesson that we just, decade after century goes by, and this one lesson that humans cannot learn. It's like we acknowledge the fact that there are three sides to every story. But, and for those of you who don't know, it's his side, her side, and the truth. Or however you want to spin that to fit, you know, your lifestyle. But for some reason, we see a snippet of a video, or we hear one person's side, and we completely judge the entire situation, and we fabricate all these circumstances that this must have happened to get them there, and this and that, and oh my god, she's such a bitch, and oh my god, what an asshole, and blah blah blah. And it's like, I don't feel like anybody ever goes, like, really stops and is like, okay, well, I'm only hearing this side of the story. You know, people are just so quick to judge, and it's like crazy too, because you know, it's so like every single one of us has been in the situation where, like, well, you know, why are you judging me? You know, things like, it's like we never learn. As I mean, I feel like this has been happening since forever. I mean, think about frickin' the Salem witch trial.
Well, we also do it with everything.
I know.
From celebrity gossip to politics.
Yes,
to
everything.
Everything in between.
Everything. I'm just like, listen, you don't always know the whole story. Sometimes you do know the whole story because, you know, it all transpired. It's all happened. Like when you watch a true crime or you listen to a true crime or something, you have now gotten the whole story. And it's so easy for us to be like, how come they didn't do this? Or how come they didn't do this?
Because they didn't have it at the time.
True crime is a really good way to see where our justice system is so flawed. But that's a different topic for a different day. But just, just be, like, stop being so damn judgmental all the time. Because you, like, get all the facts. Get both sides of the story before you jump to a conclusion.
I like to operate with no facts of either side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And then just jump to whatever conclusion. And that's because you're a pedophile.
I definitely have to bleep that out because
Bleep that
they'll
out.
literally won't even post that video.
She's not really a pedophile.
Stop saying that word. Anyways, let us know in the comment section. Do you think Kelly was a stupid ass bitch?
The answer is yes. The correct answer is yes.
Also, have you ever wrongly accused somebody of something?
How many shiesty viewers do we have going on
Every
here?
single one of you, just so you know, if you put in the comment section that you wrongly accused somebody, your comment is getting pinned to the top of the comment section.
Oh my god.
Let us know if you have a topic you want us to talk about. If you want it to be anonymous, just send it to the email address in the description box below. And we'll see you next time.
Sure will. See you later.